Hello everyone. In this video we will be generating lot of PDF certificates automatically from the data that is added inside our Google Sheet file. So let's imagine you have to generate 100 certificates for all the participants who have participated in one of your events, and you have a list of all the participants who have participated in your Google Sheet file, and effectively you want to issue them a certificate with dynamic name and a specific event in which they have participated within your entire event that was happening. So let me show you how you can do that, how you can generate unlimited number of certificates with the help of Google Sheet and Google Slide. So as you can see, I have created a folder inside my Google Drive, and the folder name is certificate generation. Within the folder, I actually created two files. The way to create a file is to do a right click and create a Google Sheet file, and you can create a blank spreadsheet. At the same point of time, you can go to Google Slide and you can create a blank presentation. Now I will show you the file because I have already created those files. So just click on the Google Sheet file to see how the file is created. I will be zooming it a little bit so that you can see it clearly. You can see the name of all the participants right here, and you can see the competition in which these participants have participated. So you can see the drawing competition, the painting competition, the singing competition, and the dancing competition. At the same point of time, I will also show you the certificate template. So I'm just going to open it up. And as you can see, this is a Google Slide template, and I have created a Google Slide which looks something like this. And it says certificate. This certificate of excellence is presented to Sarah Cruz for painting. We wish you all the success in the world. Good luck for your future. So this is a certificate template that we have created, and this certificate template is created inside your Google Slide file, and you can see it just contains one slide. Even though this contains one slide, but if you want, you can also generate your PDF certificate with multiple slides in it as well. So the certificate template file, all you have to do is, let's say if you are seeing the name right here, and if you want to replace it dynamically from the data that is present inside the Google Sheet file, all you have to do is you have to use this double quotes right like this, and you can write full name without the space and without anything else. So it says double quotes full name, and then the double quote is again right here, and then the painting. So we will just use the competition name, and we will be supplying and making it dynamic as well. So we will be putting competition name within the double quotes as well. Now just because everything looks fine to me, what I will do is I will just go to Pabbly Connect, which happens to be a integration software which will connect this Google Sheet with the certificate slide template, and it will actually generate as many slide templates as you want based on the dynamic data that is present inside Google Sheet. Now, before even going to Pabbly Connect and start to do this, we will be organizing our entire Google Drive here a little bit. Okay, so what we will be doing is we will be creating two folders. So we will be creating the folder number 1, which will handle all the slides file. So all the dynamic files that are created, first the Google Slide file is created, and from the slide files we will actually create a PDF file. So I'm not putting any space so that it will be simpler, and I'm just saying slide file. Okay, so all the slides that will be created dynamically will be stored inside the slide file folder, and all the PDF that will be created will be stored in the PDF file folder right here. So I will be creating two folders, slide file and the PDF file. Okay, so those two folders are created. All the slide file which will be dynamically generated will go inside slide file, and all the PDF which will be generated from the slide files will go inside the PDF file folder. Okay, now all you have to do is move to Pabbly Connect. Pabbly Connect is an integration software. Let me just zoom it a little bit. It is an integration software that helps you to bind multiple applications together for a specific purpose. So Pabbly Connect in this specific case will connect the Google Sheet file with the slide template, and we will be generating as many slides as we want according to our need. So what I'm going to do is I have already logged in inside the Pabbly Connect account. If you want to create an account, you can go to pabbly.com, just do a sign up and look out for the application which is named as Pabbly Connect. The URL to access the application directly is connect.pabbly.com, and once you enter connect.pabbly.com, you will be taken to the very same page. Just click on create workflow because this is the new workflow that we are creating. The name of the workflow is Google Slide to PDF. Okay, and because this name looks good to me, I will just click on create. Okay, now the Pabbly Connect application works on a simple principle of triggers and action. All you have to do is send some data inside Pabbly Connect, and based on that data, it can take certain action steps, and you can basically create another duplicate slide file, and based on that slide file, you can even generate a PDF file as well. So the first step that involves in doing this integration is to get this data, which is present inside your Google Sheet file, into Pabbly Connect. And the way to get this data from Google Sheet to Pabbly Connect is to install a extension, or what I should say is install a add-on inside your Google Sheet file, so that as soon as any data is inserted inside this Google Sheet file, it will automatically go and reach inside Pabbly Connect. So the choose app right here will be Google Sheet, because we want to essentially get data from Google Sheets. So I will be choosing the name of the app as Google Sheet, and I will be choosing the trigger event as new spreadsheet row. Okay, because we want to essentially get the spreadsheet row data. Now it will be giving you a webhook URL. This webhook URL is a way for you to get data from Google Sheet inside Pabbly Connect. So all you have to do is copy this webhook URL and click the capture webhook response button right here. Okay, this is the one-time process that you have to do. Once the integration is done, everything will be automated, everything will be happening automatically, so you don't even have to worry about anything. This webhook URL needs to be put inside Google Sheet so that any new row or even any number of rows can be sent to Pabbly Connect in whatever way you want. Okay, to enter this webhook URL inside Google Sheet, you actually have to install an add-on. So you just go and hover over to this add-on section, click on get add-ons, and search for Pabbly Connect webhooks. Okay, search for this application which says Pabbly Connect webhooks. Okay, once this application is installed, just click on the application here and just click on install. In my case, the application is already installed, that's why you are seeing the uninstall button right here, but you have to install it and give necessary permission to this specific add-on so that it can access your Google Sheet file and you can transfer the data from your Google Sheet file to Pabbly Connect. Okay, in my case, the add-on is already installed. As soon as you install the add-on, and if you click this add-on button right here, you will see a Pabbly Connect webhooks menu item which will appear right here. Okay, all you have to do is you have to go to initial setup by clicking this initial setup menu link here. So I'm just going to click on initial setup, and if you remember, we copied the webhook URL from this screen. So just click on copy, paste the webhook URL right here, and paste in fact you have to enter the trigger column. The trigger column is the last column in which your data is inserted. For example, if you see this sheet, we have data in A column and B column. So B column is the last column in which we have the data. So all the data until B column we want to send. So we will be using trigger column as B, and we will be doing a test send. Okay, so as soon as we do a test send, you can see the test data is sent successfully. And if you see Pabbly Connect right here, it has automatically captured the name and the competition participated data item right here, which effectively means that our link between Google Sheet and Pabbly Connect is now established, and we do not even have to do anything else. All we have to do is we have to go back to our Google Sheet, we have to click on submit, and our integration is done. There is just one minor thing that you have to remember. You have to go to add-ons again, click on Pabbly Connect webhooks, and we actually give you multiple ways in which you want to send data to Pabbly Connect. The first option is send on event. When you click and enable send on event, any new row that you insert after the existing rows will be sent to Pabbly Connect. Okay, if you want to send all the data which is pre-written inside your Google Sheet file already, you can just go to menu item again and you can send all data. Okay, and even if a new row is being created from any other source like Google Form or just about any other source, and the new rows are created automatically and inserted automatically into this Google Sheet, you can click on auto send on schedule. Whenever you do auto send on schedule, every 1 hour, if the data is coming from Google Forms, it will be instantly transferred over to Pabbly Connect in real time. but if the new row is being created from any other source except Google Form, the data will be transferred every 1 hour. Okay, so auto send on schedule will send any new row that is created by the automation itself. So any row created by any other software will be sent based on this option. If you are typing all the data yourself, click on send on event. So any new data that you type in will be sent automatically, and send all data will actually send all the data that is already presented inside the sheet. So just wanted to give you all the possible options. Let me build an automation and then I will use the send all data option. We will send all the data and we will create all 4 PDFs in real time with the help of that option. So as you can see, we have already captured the Google Sheet response, which is the name and competition participated. Okay, I will just minimize it a little bit. Our next step involves us to use Google Slides. Okay, so we will be using Google Slides right here. And inside the action event, we will be using create presentation from template, because we essentially want to create presentation from an existing template. So just use create presentation from template, click on connect with Google Slides, and just click on connect with Google Slide. This will essentially authenticate our account and we will be able to access the Google Sheet that are Google Slides that are created inside our Gmail or inside our Google account. Okay, so I'm just authenticating it, and you can see as soon as you authenticated it, it automatically fetched the certificate slide template. And if you remember, we have this slide template which is already created right here. Based on this slide certificate slide template, you can see the title of new presentation. You can actually enter any title of the new presentation that will be created. And for entering the title, you can just map and use this map button right here. So just click on map data. We already have the data that is coming in from the trigger. So I will be saying Neeraj Agrawal dash competition participated. So we want to create new presentation by the name of Neeraj Agrawal dash drawing. And it is now asking us, where do you want to store the new presentation? Okay, if you remember, we created 2 folders, PDF file and slide file. So essentially we want to store the new presentation to the PDF file folder itself. Also remember, sometimes if you have lots and lots of directories already in your Google Drive, you might not be able to see your existing folder that you want to map here. Okay, in those cases where your folder name is not appearing in the drop down, you can also enter the name of your folder yourself. So let me just show you how it is done. So just in case if that happens, you can still map and see the value. So all you have to do is you have to go to slide file. In fact, we want to save all the slide to slide file. So I will just go to slide file and I will copy this folder ID. So this is the folder ID in which we want to save something. So just copy this folder ID in which you want to save something. Go to Pabbly Connect back, click on map button, and you can enter the ID of the folder yourself as well. So just in case if you do not see your folder, which was the slide file or whatever it is in the drop down, you can always click on map button and you can fetch and enter the value yourself. Okay, just wanted to give you that you have that option. In this case, because my folder is already shown, I will show and I will map the slide file right here itself. Now the amazing thing is it automatically pulled the 2 dynamic tags in itself. So you see full name right here and you see the competition name right here, and both of those fields are automatically pulled in from Google Slide template file automatically. So all you have to do is map the data that is coming from the trigger, which essentially means that the data that is coming from the Google Sheet. Just map the name. You are seeing the key value pair hits here, like you see you are seeing the name and the real name here. Always the automation picks the name itself. It only picks the value. It does not care about the key that you see right here. So do not worry that only the data which is Neeraj Agrawal will be sent to the automation. And lastly is the competition name. Again, the competition name is inside our trigger. We will be just using the trigger and mapping it and mapping the value right here. So you can see everything looks good to me. The template presentation is a certificate slide template. Based on that, we are creating a new template presentation by the name of Neeraj Agrawal dash drawing. We are saving all the presentation in slide file folder. The name is mapped. The competition name is mapped. Right now, if you see the slide file folder, it is completely empty. Let me just zoom in it a little bit as well. So it looks completely empty, but let me just do a send test request and see if the file is now added inside the slide file. Okay. So if you go back now, you will see Neeraj Agrawal drawing is created. Even though you are seeing the screenshot with full name and competition name, the screenshot gets updated in just few minutes. Until then, if you see the file and if you open the file now, you will see that the certificate is replaced by the dynamic data that we sent from Pabbly Connect. So you can see the name right here, you can see the competition right here, and your certificate slide is generated right here. Now, all you have to remember one thing is that whenever you want to generate a PDF from the certificate file that is generated or the slide file that is generated, you have to make this file publicly accessible for a small period of time. Later, if you want, you can even delete the file with the help of automation itself. But as you can see right here, it says that this file is private to only me. This means only I can access it. No one else can access this file. But essentially, we do not want this to happen. We want this file to be publicly accessible through link, so that only the person who has the link can access. But at the same point of time, when you make it publicly accessible, people or the automation can generate a PDF file from a publicly accessible file. It cannot generate a PDF from a private file. So always remember, the file has to be made a public file for just a small period of time. Okay, so I will go to Pabbly Connect now. My Google slide file is already created. So my next step involves making this slide file, which is just created in the back step in the Google slide create presentation from template step. And I will make this file a public file. So I will select Google Drive right here, and I will choose the right option, which is share a file with anyone. And the option name says shares a file with anyone on the internet. Okay, so I will choose this option. I will connect with my Google Drive. I will authorize my Google Drive by clicking on the button. I will give the necessary permission to magnetmarketing251@gmail.com, and I will allow it. Okay. The authorization is successful, and you can see the file ID is automatically pulled in. But always remember, the file ID will be dynamic. The reason file ID will be dynamic is also because we are generating the file in the last step itself. Okay, so the file was not created already. It is being created using the automation. So all you have to do is, if you open this Google slide step again, you will see that the presentation ID or the slide ID is right here. Okay, and we want to make the very same file a public file. So all you have to do is you have to map the presentation ID in the next step, so that next time when the automation runs, again a new presentation ID will be created, and based on that presentation ID, you want to make the very same presentation ID public. Okay, so always remember, you cannot use a static value right here. You will always have to use a dynamic value. To use a dynamic value, you have to enable this map button right here. So just enable it. I will just show you again. Just enable this map button, remove the file ID, which is a static file ID here, and just map the presentation ID, which is coming from the last step. So just click on this Google slide create presentation from template and map the presentation ID, which is coming from the last step. We have already mapped it. Before clicking on saving and sending a test request, I will just show this file again once to you. You can see the lock icon is appearing right here. Okay, can you see that? Yes, probably yes. So I will just click on save and send a test request. And as soon as I do that, you will see the lock icon is changed to anyone with the link. Anyone who has the link can access, no sign in required. So this file is now made a public file so that anyone with a link can access this file. Now, because this file is publicly accessible, our next step involves us to create and upload a PDF to a Google Drive. To create a PDF, all you have to do is click this plus button right here. Okay, and just select Google Drive again. Okay, so you can choose the app as Google Drive. Action event will be to upload a file, because we want to upload a PDF file to our Google Drive. So I will just go back to certificate generation. The PDF file folder is currently empty. All we want to do is we want to fetch some data from the existing Google slide file, and then we want to create a PDF file out of it. Okay, so I will just select the Google Drive upload a file option. I will click on connect with Google Drive. I will give the necessary permission, because we have already given the necessary permission in our last stage. So you can just click this credentials button, and I actually have authenticated my account several times, but you can see that this is the last one which we have authenticated. So just select the last one which you have authenticated in the previous step itself and click on save. Okay, and as soon as you do that, you actually are given with three text fields right here. The first one is URL, the second one is folder ID, and the third one is file name. Okay, now the URL is something that you are getting when you are running this step. When you are running a share a file with anyone step, you will actually see that there is an export link which says res2 export link application/pdf. So the Google slide file or the Google presentation file that you have created, you are given and presented with a export link of a PDF file. Okay, so we will be mapping this export link in our next step in the URL folder. Okay, this will essentially, what it will do is it will export the very same presentation, and after exporting it will save the same PDF file to the PDF file folder. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on map button right here, go to share a file with anyone, just scroll down and you will see different export options, and the one export option that you will be interested in will be export links application/pdf. So just make sure that you select the export link with PDF option right here. Next is the folder ID. Where do you want to save this PDF file? And we have already opened the Google Drive PDF file folder, and this will be my folder ID. So we want to save our file inside this folder ID. So I will just copy it. I will paste it manually here because every time we want to save the PDF file to the very same folder. And lastly, it is asking us for the name of the PDF file. So I will again click the map button. I will go to trigger. I will add the name of Neeraj Agrawal dash the competition in which he has participated, and this time I also has to write the extension which will be .pdf. If you remember last time when we added the file name, we didn't added any extension because Google Slide in itself do not have any kind of extensions. But now because we are creating and generating a PDF file, we will be putting a .pdf extension. So now if everything looks good to you, you can just fire the save and send a test request and see if the file is created. Okay, you can see it says done one. Okay, just go to Google Drive file and you can see your PDF file is created. This certificate of excellence is presented to Neeraj Agrawal for drawing. We wish you all the success. The PDF is created. You can download this PDF, you can print this PDF, and you can do whatever you want with this PDF. So as you can see, your PDFs are generated, and if you open this file, you can see the PDF file is generated right here. Okay, to be honest with you, this covers most of my tutorial, but there is just one more thing that I want to do. Once the PDF is generated inside my PDF folder, okay, all you can do is you can just ask one of your team members to print out all the certificates one by one from within the PDF file folder because they are all generated at one location. But at the same point of time, if you want, you can also share this certificate with the person on his email as well. Okay, for this scope of video, I'm not showing you the step because we haven't collected the participant email here. But otherwise, let's say if you had another field which said participant email, and if you had the email of all your participants here, you could have added one more step, which would be to click this plus button. Okay, and I'm just showing you here so that you can do it yourself at your end. You will be using Google Drive. So just use the app name as Google Drive. The action name will be share a file. So you can use the action name as share a file. Again, you can authenticate it. Okay, so I'm just authenticating my Google Drive file. It is asking us which file ID you want to share. Click and enable the map option and map the value which is coming from the last step. So last step, when we fired and when the PDF file was created, you actually got the uploaded file ID back. Okay, so we want to send this file on the email of someone. So just map the file ID right here from the last step, which was upload a file, and the file ID is uploaded file ID is right here. Then it is asking us for the email because we haven't collected any email from the participant right here. We do not have something to map, but just for the sake of this demo, I will be entering the static value right here so that you can understand what you can do. And then you can give the permission for editing as well, because you essentially, this is the certificate that belongs to the person, and PDFs are non-editable. So even if you give the permission to edit, he can do everything, but he won't be able to edit it. But anyways, just give the can edit permission and click on save and send a test request. Now, if you head back to my email account right now, it says security alert because we gave the permission to Pabbly Connect for doing certain things. Let me just delete it. You can see my primary tab inbox is currently empty. Let me just zoom it a little bit so that you can see it clearly. My Gmail is currently empty with no messages in it. I will go back to Pabbly Connect. I will click on save and send a test request. And as soon as you do that, you will see that the same file is now sent on the participant email as well. So you can see the participant email has been emailed a PDF file. He can open it, he can print it himself, he can download it, he can add it to his Google Drive, whatever he want to do, he can do that. Again, if you wanted to do this, you must have an email field right here. You must have all the emails of all the participants so that we would have collected the very same data onto the trigger step. And all you had to do is just remove this static value. You should map the value coming from the trigger step itself, and you could have mapped the email. Even though if the email is not even a Gmail, then also the file will be shared. Okay, the person who will be getting the certificate can still open it, he can still download it, and he can do whatever he want with that very same access. So again, everything looks good to me. So you can see what we are doing is, in fact, let me just delete the share file because we do not want to share a file. So as you can see, everything looks good to me. If I minimize all the steps now, what we have done is we have collected a response from Google Sheet, then we have created a presentation from a template, then we have shared a file with anyone, and lastly we have created a PDF file inside our PDF file folder. So now our last step involves us to create certificate for just about everyone. So I will go back to my Google Sheet, I will click on add-ons, I will go to Pabbly Connect webhooks, and you have two options, which is first is the send custom data. If you want to send custom data from any specific cell to any specific cell, let me just show you the option, send custom data. You can mention that you want to send the data from A2, which is the starting range, until B5. B5 is the last column, last cell. So you can mention A2 to B5 and it would have sent all the data to Pabbly Connect. But at the same point of time, if you want, you can just go to add-ons, Pabbly Connect webhooks, and send all data. Just press this button, all the data will be sent, all the PDFs will be generated, all the slides will be generated, and everything will be ready. So I'm just clicking on send all data button right here. It says it is working. So it just takes a minimum amount of time, just about 5-10 seconds. And all the data will be transferred over to Pabbly Connect. Pabbly Connect will accept the data, and then Pabbly Connect will start to generate all the PDF file right here. So you can see the first PDF file was Neeraj Agarwal. It is generated again because it is sending data all over again. The second is Pankaj Jian for painting. The second certificate is also generated. The third is Vinny Goyal. So it will take some time, but all the certificate essentially will be generated. Okay, let me just zoom it out a little bit. So just refresh it all over again, and you can see Pankaj Jian, Neev Nair, Vinny Goyal, all the certificates with their respective competition are generated. Okay, so you can see Neev Nair certificate is generated with dancing competition, Vinny Goyal for singing, Pankaj Jian for painting, Neeraj Agarwal for drawing. So all the data that we had inside our Google Sheet, all the PDFs are generated. There is just one more thing that I want to tell you. The certificate that you have seen right here, okay, it looks cool, it looks good. I actually found this website, which is slidesgo.com. okay, and if you go to slidesgo and if you search for certificate templates, okay, I actually did a search for certificate and I actually found a lot of good certificates right here. So you found a mutual certificate, and then there are multiple certificates within a single template. So whatever you like, you can use the certificate. There are multiple templates. There are even templates for small kids. There is a template for certificate of appreciation and everything. So you can select multiple certificate according to your own needs. All you have to do is just click on Google Slide, download this template. As soon as you do that, the Google Slide template will be copied on your account. You can delete all the other slides. Just keep the relevant certificate that you want to create, because there are so many slides right here. So depending upon your need, you can select whatever certificate you want to select, and you can see that there are so many certificates right here, and based on that your need, you can basically select and use whatever certificate that you want to use. So again, thank you for watching this video. I do hope that you might have found this video useful. If you have any question, you can reach out to my team at admin@pabbly.com. So again, thank you for everything. Have a great day. Enjoy your certificate generation.